Do you eat meat? I don't eat a lot of meat. I eat some. I'm not a total vegetarian, but I'd say 80% vegetarian. I do eat fish and eggs, occasionally some beef, here and there, just different things, but not very often. And because of that, I wanted to do a little research on alternatives to get protein in my diet. So I thought, well, I'll just do a video because I feel like after I've done all this research, I might as well share it and maybe somebody can benefit from it. I will give some examples of foods that I do eat to substitute meat to get protein. And I'll show some meals that I've prepared and just talk very briefly about the amount of protein in each of these servings. And they vary from each time I make them to the next. The quantity and the ingredients, I'm always mixing things up. So this is just a snapshot of a few meals that I do eat. And I wanted to talk about keeping it affordable because not all of the ingredients that I'll mention are necessarily cheap, but I'm not buying meat. So I've decided go ahead and buy these things because a lot of items like hemp hearts or nutritional yeast, things that do have protein and that I use from time to time, are a little bit of an initial outlay, but compared to buying a package of meat that you'll consume in one or two meals, they're not expensive because a lot of these things you just use a little bit and so it lasts a while. And I keep almost everything like these items in the fridge so that they'll stay fresher. So let's get started looking at some of the meals that I've eaten recently where I don't eat meat at all in any of these and show you the protein substitutes that I've used. For breakfast this morning, I'm going to scramble one egg. It has 6 grams of protein. I will heat up the corn tortillas in my air fryer. Then I will melt the cheese on top of the eggs in the tortillas. The cheese is half a slice. It has about 2.5 grams of protein. And the tortillas have 2 grams of protein. So total, that's a little over 10 grams. This is sort of how I eat for, an example of what I eat for breakfast sometimes. One of my favorite meals is rice and beans. I just love them. I just am using some chili beans from a can, about a third of the can, and that's about 8 grams of protein. Brown rice that I just cooked ahead of time. It's between a half cup and 3/4 of a cup, and that's about 3 grams. And about a fourth of an avocado, and I melted some mozzarella cheese on top. I have a puppy dog here today barking. So the cheese was about 6 grams of protein, so that's 17 grams right there, which I think is pretty good. And I love it. Here's a medium-sized potato that I just microwaved, and I'm going to cut it up into chunks, and I will spray it with some oil and cook it in my air fryer. This is one of my favorite things I do in the air fryer. It's kind of like French fries. You spray oil on just about anything, put it in the air fryer, and cook it, and it crisps up. It's wonderful. So, a medium potato has about 4 grams of protein. So, 2 thumbs up. I love pasta. I've been trying to buy the whole grain pasta that has more protein in it. This one has 8 grams per serving, and that would be if you had 8 servings for the box. I do more like 6 servings because I eat more. I love it. So, comes out to more like a little over 10 grams of protein per serving. And the pasta sauce on here has about 2 grams of protein. So that's 12 grams for this serving of pasta. 12 grams. I just checked my freezer and I have all of these vegetables in there. The spinach is open. I have it clipped shut here, but the rest of these I haven't opened yet. And I just wanted to run down how much protein is in a serving of each. The black-eyed peas, it's 1/2 cup and 8 grams of protein. Brussels sprouts, 1 cup, 3 grams of protein. Chopped spinach, 1 cup, 3 grams of protein. And the peas, 2/3 of a cup, 4 grams of protein. So if you have these with some other foods, you know, it all adds up. There's protein in lots of vegetables. I want to talk about some more vegetables. Lima beans, a 1/2 cup serving has 7 grams of protein. 1/2 of an avocado has 2 grams of protein. Corn, 2.5 grams in 1/2 of a cup. Edamame has, for 1 cup, 18 grams of protein. That's really good. So vegetables is a good source for some protein. I have about a tablespoon of peanut butter. I use organic peanut butter. It's just nuts and I think it's just nuts. It might have some salt. Yes, organic peanuts and sea salt. There are 8 grams of protein in 2 tablespoons. I have about a tablespoon here, so this is 4 grams of protein. And this, here's one of my favorite breakfasts or just as a dessert or a snack. Greek yogurt. I have about maybe a little more than 1/2 of a cup here. That is about 12 grams of protein. I have 1/4 of a cup of walnuts, and that's 4 grams. And that's more than I usually use, but I decided, why not? Live it up. Sunflower seeds. These are the sunflower seeds. This is about 1 ounce, and that's 5 grams of protein. And pumpkin seeds. This is 8 grams of protein for about 1 ounce. And those might be a little on the low side. I don't know. I didn't measure or weigh them. And then I'm going to add some stevia because the Greek yogurt is very tart. And I'm going to put in 1/2 of a banana, and it is negligible protein. It's like 1 gram of protein per banana, so that's 1/2. So that would be maybe 1/2 gram. But anyway, this is about 29 grams of protein. That's pretty good, I think. So I'm going to start paying more attention and adding the walnuts and the seeds because they really are good for you and have a decent amount of protein. Here's another bowl of yogurt that I'm going to have. I added a lot of cinnamon, some more flaxseed, ground flaxseed. I added some hemp hearts and some dark chocolate and walnuts. So it's kind of like a sundae, but different, totally different. This dish is a serving of chocolate pudding I make with soft silken tofu. This is another package. I bought 2 recently and I've used 1. The package says a serving is, let's see, 3 ounces. So there should be 5 servings per package. I just make 3 servings. So a total for the whole package would be 20 grams of protein. Since I'm using 1/3 of it, it's more like a little over 6 grams of protein per serving. And I have a recipe for this easy. It's just tofu, cocoa, vanilla, I don't know what else. I'll have to look it up. I will link the video where this recipe is if you're interested. You can check it out. It makes a good, delicious dessert. or just a snack in the middle of the day. Sometimes I add some chopped walnuts or granola to it. I eat it plain. It just depends. A few more foods that I wanted to mention are lentils. For 1/2 a cup serving, they have 9 grams of protein. Black beans, 1/2 cup, has 7 grams of protein. Chickpeas or garbanzo beans, whatever you want to call them, 1/2 cup has 6 grams of protein. Wild rice for 1 cup has 6.5 grams of protein. Oats for 1/4 of a cup, 5 grams of protein. And some nuts. Almonds, 1/4 of a cup, has 7 grams. Cashews, 5 grams. All these are 1/4 of a cup for the nuts. And pistachios, 6 grams. So, tempeh, 3 ounces cooked, is 16 grams. That's really good. Quinoa, 1 cup cooked, is 8 grams. Tofu, 1/2 cup, 22 grams. Mozzarella cheese, 1 ounce, is 7 grams. A cheese stick is 4 grams. Almond flour, 3 tablespoons, is 4 grams protein. Cottage cheese for 1/2 of a cup, 14 grams of protein. Same with 1/2 of a cup of ricotta cheese, 14 grams. Nutritional yeast, which you can use, it's kind of gives things a cheesy flavor. 1 tablespoon is 7 grams of protein. You can put it in a smoothie. So what do you think? Would you try any of these affordable ingredients or meals that I've prepared, or, you know, foods that I keep on hand to use as sort of meat substitutes or protein alternatives to meat? I know they're not all necessarily affordable, but I tend to just buy one thing, you know, here and there. I don't go to the store and stock up on all of this stuff in the same shopping trip at all. So it's not as painful, but you know, when you compare these ingredients to meat, they're not a bad deal. They're not that expensive, I don't think. So leave a comment and let me know how you eat. If you eat meat, if you don't eat meat at all, if you're a vegetarian or vegan, and what some of your favorite protein alternatives are. I'm really curious because I'm always open to learning more about this. And thanks so much for watching. And if you're new here, I'm Do It Myself Peg, and I have this YouTube channel about frugal living and just all kinds of things that I do in my life. And I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.